Watching the beat-up pickup truck roll toward the dump point, Felix sniffed and then scratched at his jaw. After arriving in this world, he'd realized he could get points from eliminating trash. Everything after that had been a run-up to this very moment. From battling drug dealers, suppliers, then taking their jobs, then kicking off the first superhero fight at the gold bullion repository, then selling all the footage he had to the news industry. All of it had been for this inglorious moment, just so he could revel in the peculiar feeling of being far too excited for people to throw out trash into his dump. "I'm gonna go with appliances," murmured Felix.
"Trash! Bags and bags and bags of trash!"
Andrea countered.
"I think I'll agree with my Grove husband. Appliances," argued Alma. "Old ones? Rusty ones? I'll bet on it."
"Nope, not for me. I already owe Goldie and Faith too many Felix nights. No more betting till I'm not in debt," grumbled Andrea.
Glancing to the side, Felix looked from the beastkin to the dryad. Andrea was as she always was. Her excited, mismatched blue and green eyes were staring out at the truck, eager to see what it would unload into the landfill. Their betting on what was being dumped had become somewhat of a serious game now, to the point that Andrea even had an other at a whiteboard near the side that took down accurate guesses in a tally. Andrea's short, dirty blonde hair hung around her face in the normal style she wore, though one of her non-human ears swiveled toward him, displacing her hair. She didn't look away, though. Alma was on his other side, though when he looked her way, her head practically jerked to the side to meet his gaze. Being a dryad, she was, of course, gifted with looks and a body type that was attractive to a fault. Her eyes were deep, with a dark brown hue that, depending on the light, looked to be dark red instead. Medium-length, light brown hair was pulled back in a loose style that suited her quite well. Long gone was the slightly sick look to her. Now she shone with vitality and life. Her and Carlotta both did. Looking back to the truck, Felix watched as it turned to one side, put its tailgate to the pit, then began backing up. "Appliances," he said with a chuckle. "Rusty ones. Are you perhaps cheating in our game, Mistress of the Grove?"
No,
Alma said with absolute sincerity, which, to Felix, meant she was lying. Alma could say many things straight-faced, though they were more often than not absolute lies. Rather, it was when she was being honest that she tended to look guilty, as if being truthful was harder for her somehow. "Uh-huh," Felix said with a chuckle, and then moved away from the window. Pulling his phone from his pocket, he glanced at the screen to check the time. They were only about 15 minutes out from the official ground break moment, when Legion could officially open up its first headquarters and move to the next phase of the plan. Nodding his head, he slipped the phone back into his pocket. Walking out the back door, he found Faith and Carlotta engaged in hand-to-hand combat. The former was relentless in drilling the two new dryads, focusing and honing their bodies and abilities day in and day out, often with Andrea and Mew assisting her. This didn't look like the normal training, though, especially since Alma wasn't being forced to participate. This looked more like just a spar to see who could bash the other more. The dryads would often go until one of them was incapacitated, then the victor was responsible for healing the defeated. He was fine with letting them practice that way, so long as it was never anything that even approached lethal exchanges. Carlotta's normally hazel-colored eyes were blazing a bright and eerie red at the moment. She was so into their battle that she'd slipped into utilizing her body to its full potential. Being a beautiful and eye-catching knockout didn't detract from the terrifying force she was putting into the attacks. Her long brown hair in its single braid was whipping about her with the speed of the blows. Faith's eyes, in contrast, were only glowing a faint green. She was tapping into her ability, but not as deeply. She'd been training for many more years than Carlotta and had a great wealth of experience in combat.
Para seguir escuchando este audiolibro gratuitamente, haz clic en el enlace de la descripción y podrás escucharlo completo sin coste gracias a la prueba de 30 días de Audible.